Whether it makes you laugh, cry, scream, or fly, there's a song for every emotion. We're Mike and Priya, and we talk about the songs that make up the soundtrack to your life, to my life, to our lives, because life is in the lyrics, folks.
That was awesome. Hey everyone, I'm Mike and I'm here with my co-host Priya.
Sup, everyone?
Sup? What?
What?
Look at you.
I'm going to be hip today, guys.
What are you, Jenny from the block?
Yes, I am, with my penguin sweatshirt on today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, it's a polar bear.
It's not, yeah, it's a polar bear.
It's a polar bear.
It's very glittery.
Yeah, she's got some bling.
Yeah.
I needed to bling out today.
So why today?
I don't know, just because we're in a bit of a snowstorm, and I was like, what do I feel like? I want to wear something cozy, but something a little bit fun.
Oh, and so your glitter polar bear is
he's got some sequins. He's got a red hat.
Yeah, very pretty. Anyways, moving on because our listeners cannot see that.
They cannot. Maybe we'll take a picture later.
Okay.
Post it. So what's happening in your week this week?
How are you, Priya?
I just asked you that.
Yeah, but how are you?
I'm okay.
You're going to just hit the mic?
I should just tie my hands behind my back.
Yeah.
Like I do for special occasions.
Jesus. It's the love month.
It's not lust month? Oh, sorry, my bad. I'll reserve those comments for lust month.
Yeah, I think every month is lust month with you.
Well, in my head.
Maybe. Yeah?
Yeah, just in my head.
Mm.
Yeah.
How am I? I am great. I'm grand.
Good.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful week. Lots of fun stuff. I did some of that fun stuff with you.
Yes, we did.
We got to go see the show.
We did.
What was
Just
it?
For one day.
Just for one day. What did you think of the show?
I learned tons.
Yeah.
I found it fascinating because, why are you laughing?
Oh, tell us some of the stuff you learned, Priya.
Well, I learned that they put on this massive, crazy show with humongous stars in 5 weeks, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
I learned that they wrote the Band-Aid song in a weekend, which explains some of the more questionable lyrics. And I did like that they touched on that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's all I learned.
Really?
Did I learn anything else? What did you learn?
Well, I learned that you have a very bad memory. Do you recall that moment in the show where they were talking about Last Christmas and how Last Christmas was poised to be a #1 song? And
you just revel in highlighting my
but because this is really funny. In an episode, we were talking about Christmas songs, and I had said that Last Christmas.
I still don't believe this.
Let me finish.
I know what you're going to say, and I don't believe it.
Well, it's in writing.
It's in writing?
It is, yeah. Do you not remember? Oh, my God.
I thought it was on the podcast. Isn't it in the podcast?
Yeah, it's in the podcast. In the podcast, I had mentioned that Last Christmas was supposed to be #1. And then Do the Notes Christmas came out.
Yeah.
It obviously kicked Last Christmas out of the first slot. Last Christmas was #2. And Wham donated the proceeds from Last Christmas.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, well, I talked about it in our podcast. And then in the show... They said that, and you turned to me and you're like, oh.
I thought that was amazing.
That was amazing.
I learned so much.
I didn't know that.
I'm
like, what? You said the same thing in our podcast. So at the intermission, what did I do? I pulled up the podcast. Yeah. I pulled up the transcript, and there it is, me talking about it, and you saying, oh, wow, that's cool.
At least I'm consistent.
You are consistent. Bless you.
And also... You know, you're picking at me for not remembering something that was in an episode months ago. May I just remind you, for 2 episodes in a row,
yes,
I have said something. You know, I think last week I was saying, whatever it was I was saying, people who have been listening, to our little listeners, if you are listening you consistently, you will remember that I said something, and then literally 2 minutes later, Mike says the exact same thing. And I'm like, I just said that. And he's like, did you really?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And last week when we recorded, it was actually like 20 seconds later.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Look at me owning that.
Okay, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
I don't believe that I said that about Wham before. So.
Anyways, it was funny, but it was funny that you didn't remember.
Not even a single bit.
Yeah.
Even when you showed me the transcript, I
Yeah.
was like, I have no memory of this.
Yeah.
It's a bit
You do
concerning.
talk a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's where this is going. Okay.
Anyways, so we saw the show and that was great. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about it? Because you haven't really mentioned.
I thought it was good. There were definitely parts of the show that I enjoyed more. And there were parts that were quite moving. The scene where he's in Ethiopia and he goes into the tent and the child dies in his arms. That made me cry. The guy who played Midger.
Yes.
Oh, God. He was great.
Yeah. I thought the guy who played Bob Geldof was really great. Although he didn't do a ton of singing. But he was really good. And he's not the guy that's in the poster. So I guess he was the understudy.
He was the understudy. They actually announced that at the beginning.
Okay. What's your point?
I'm just saying that they did. And he was the understudy for the London show, apparently, according to the program.
Well, I'm glad I got him because I think he was really good in that role. And I found it really touching at times. There were times definitely that I teared up. But I also found it like it's a hard line to walk.
It was a bit preachy.
A bit preachy. Yeah. And I could tell that the audience wasn't quite comfortable. Because like usually when you're at these shows, at the end of like a big number, the audience goes insane.
Yeah, yeah.
And they did not do that at really any songs.
No, and there was one part where they were trying to get people to clap. And
and it wasn't
there
working.
Any clapping happening.
It wasn't working. Yeah, that's got to be tough for the... I really did learn a lot because when Live Aid actually happened, we were both, I was, I think, 13. I'm putting my hands behind my back.
That's okay.
And you were 15 because you're much older than me. And so I remember vaguely, like I remember the song coming out for sure. And I remember We Are the World and Tears Are Not Enough, all that, everything that happened around that time. I didn't know that they wrote it in a weekend. I didn't know that they put that show together with, again, like we're talking like all the biggest stars. Paul McCartney, Bob Dylan was there. George Michael, Queen. It was just Phil Collins. And Phil Collins, I didn't know this either, that he performed in the UK. And then he took the Concorde and flew and performed at the US version. So they were telecasting 2 massive concerts. They had no sound checks for any of the artists. Like it's quite mind-boggling to think of it. And I don't even think that they could pull that off now. Like I'm shocked that they could pull that off so quickly.
Yeah, maybe they could pull it off now, but
Mike is underwhelmed. He's like, no problem.
No, I think anything is possible if you put your mind to it.
Yeah.
If it's about will. And there's all kinds of technology that can make sure that things happen.
Now.
Yeah.
But I am surprised like that.
Yeah.
40 years ago or whatever, nearly 40 years ago, they were able to do that. And I loved when, so the concert, they're reliving the actual concert and it's almost over and Bob's like, but we got to get people to be donating. Like, the concert's great. We need people to donate. And I think it was Midge who said, look at how much we've raised. And he goes, 90,000, that's nothing. He goes, Bob, it's 90 million. And by the end of it, they raised $140 million.
Yeah.
It's astounding.
That's 140 million pounds.
Pounds, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. That part of it was amazing. It was a great story. And thanks for making that happen. 'Cause you were the one who saw it. And
I saw it and I just thought it would be such a fun show. And it was. But I don't think it just was it didn't really hit all the marks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then we were supposed to be out last night singing karaoke. Our voices were supposed to be a lot more hoarse.
Yes,
today,
they were.
but-
And last week I said nothing would stop me from karaoke. And nothing would have stopped me except for the fucking forecast. And you know what? Oh, it made me so mad because from the morning they started saying on CB24.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, winter weather advisory, 10 to 15 centimeters, blah, blah, blah. So my first cancellation came in at like 12 o'clock. And then somebody else canceled because they were sick. And then I got an email. So 3 people canceled. And I was like, okay, Mike, what do I do? Do we just plow through? And Mike was like, no, let's just do it. We checked the other forecast. We're Canadians. And then anyways, it all went to shit and it didn't happen. People kept bailing. And then some people were like, well, we're going to come, but if it gets worse, we might not show. And I'm like,
yeah, but the weather didn't really start until later.
No, it didn't.
I looked out the window at 10 o'clock and it was like, okay, yeah, that looks, pretty wintry. But we would have been,
We would have been
elbow deep in song number 20
I
by
know.
that time.
I know. It was really annoying.
Disappointing. But you are
Disappointing.
rescheduling, so God
Yeah.
help our little listeners when the March episode comes around.
Can I tell you that I had been practicing? I had a new song I was going to unveil for karaoke.
You're not the only one.
Oh.
Okay, so first of all, Don, he has been not grumbling, but he's been like, oh, I heard him talking to my mom, and he's saying, yeah, we're going to karaoke. It's not my favorite thing to do, I hear him say. And then he's in the living room, and I can hear this song. No, he's singing All the Lovers by Kylie Minogue. All the lovers that I've known before, they don't compare to you. So when I said it was canceled, he's like, oh, I was going to sing that song. So after, it's canceled and we're getting on with our evening. He's got the video going. He's watching the making of the video. So you're not the only one who was ready for some singing. But we'll have to...
Yeah, I hope he does pull that out.
We're going to have to cue that one up for...
Well, I went to brunch today to celebrate another friend's birthday. And one of my friends, Freddie, who was going to come out last night, he was like, I was practicing Exile because we were going to do it.
Oh,
I was like, well, you keep practicing that. I know. I was like, oh, well, because Mike and I usually do that song. But we'll do Shallow.
Huh. Interesting.
The nerve, huh?
I know.
I didn't pick it. He surprised me with it.
People elbowing in on my territory.
I'm telling you, man. It gets cutthroat at karaoke.
You love it.
Do you want to know what song I was going to unveil as my first?
Oh no, surprise! Let's leave surprise.
Okay.
All right, let's
move along.
Yeah,
let's get into the actual conversation here.
Well, this was one of you felt quite passionate about this. And we did put it in our episode ending to let our listeners know. What are we going to be talking about, Priya?
Yeah.
We talking about those cheats.
Yeah, those Lyin cheaters. Yeah.
Lyin cheaters.
I mean,
not lions
not
and
lions.
cheetahs.
Oh, I like that.
Lying
cheaters.
cheaters.
But I like if you say those Lyin cheetahs.
Lyin cheetahs.
Lyin cheetahs, yeah. Because, sure, it's love month, but this is something that comes up in relationships maybe more often than not. And so not the most romantic topic, but one that many of us have dealt with and maybe from various sides of the situation. So, Mike, have you ever been cheated on?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No. And I haven't had like a lot of relationships. So it's not like...
there were many opportunities.
Yeah. And even the relationships that I did have, they weren't very long. I think outside of Dawn, the longest relationship I had was 6 months.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think I was in a relationship long enough for somebody to cheat on me.
Right.
But what do I know?
Well, I guess that's the thing. You really never know.
Well, the other thing I would say is that I think in the homosexual relationships...
Yes.
I think they're a little more open about activities outside of the relationship, let's say.
But you mean just that it's more like agreed upon and accepted?
Yeah, I think that, generally speaking, I think that gay people are probably, more open to having an open relationship.
But that's different.
No, I know.
Open relationships are different, right?
Yeah, but I think it's also... One, I think open relationships are perhaps more common. I think that because, and I'm going to just speak from my own experience, because, for some of us, it took so long to come out, of my generation, not the current generation where they're coming out in their teens. So I think that, I just think that there's a different kind of understanding, or maybe it's also about people's... I don't know, actually. I'm thinking because I'm thinking about things like monogamy. Well, quite frankly, my personal view is I don't think monogamy is
natural.
I don't think it's natural. I think that we're just not meant to be, locked in with the same person for the rest of our life. So having open conversation about that is one thing.
Right.
Now, all that being said, I think cheating, that's about lying and deceit, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think, it depends on the lens that you're looking at it through.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that nowadays it's much more common to see, polyamorous and
Mm-hmm.
what else do they call ethically non-monogamous. This is like it's like a trend now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have an open relationship, if you want to have a primary and then a secondary and a tertiary and whatever ever else partners, great. If it is whatever happens between consenting
Mm-hmm.
adults, I got no issue with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have big issues with
Mm-hmm.
just, with the lions and the cheetahs.
The lions and the cheetahs. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, if you are with this person that you say you love, first of all, why are you cheating on them? And if you need to cheat on them, then maybe you don't love them and just let them be.
Mm.
So that's what I have a real problem with. And I'm a bit of a stickler with this. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's not really a lot of gray zones for me in this area when it comes to cheating. And I've had to deal with cheating from different angles, whether it's me being cheated on or whether it's a friend who cheated on their partner, like a good friend who cheated on their partner, and me being kind of in the middle of that situation and just finding it very difficult.
And so in that one, it's your good friend is the cheater.
Yeah. Like I had a friend.
Okay.
And she calls me up one day and she's like crying. She's like, I just don't know if I'm in love with him anymore. And I'm not happy and stuff. And so that I understand, like that's either it's a growing pain you're going through or whatever, or you've grown apart. But she had a group of girlfriends that were outside of our friendship. And they were all sort of,
Single?
no, they were all in relationships and they would take these trips and all cheat on their husbands.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I couldn't wrap my head around that. It's like, because I also knew her husband and I found it very hard to ever be in a room with him. And, just, I found that really, really difficult. And also she had no really good reason for it. Anyway, so that was just a weird situation to be in where it's not my situation, but now I'm in this icky situation and I don't know how to behave. I don't know how to pretend around this guy that I really like.
Yeah.
And who's a great father and a great husband. He's just not exciting enough for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this information. I don't know how to deal with it. It's weird.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I think there's another part of me that just thinks, okay, humans are complex and life is complicated. And I think it makes for good music.
It does make for some good music. There's
so why don't we talk about
a lot
that?
of songs about cheating. That's for sure. So I don't know. What do you got a song there that you want to?
Oh, I got a few.
Oh, let's pull them out. And I'm curious to see if we have any crossover.
Okay, well, there's 3 that came to mind immediately.
Me too. I've got 3.
So in a previous episode, I was talking about a friend who helped me come out, and I don't know if you remember me mentioning the Madonna song "Holiday," and he had little short shorts.
Yeah.
Well, this guy was also another song of ours. Our kind of like pregame song before going out was Whitney Houston's "It's Not Right, But It's Okay."
Oh yeah.
Which is a great break. Like that's a really good cheating song.
Yeah.
You know that song?
It's not right, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it anyway. Yep.
I love the way that song starts. Friday night, you and your boys went out to eat. They hung out, but you came home around 3. Yes, you did. If 6 of y'all went out, then 4 of you really cheap. Yeah, because only 2 of you had dinner. I found your credit card receipt. Like, I love that. That's such a great...
Like caught in the act.
Yeah. It's such a great way to start the song. And then I love how she's like, as the song builds up and she's like, I don't need you, motherfucker. Like, get out of my life and pack your bags and get out, Right.
And then she hits that crazy note. She goes, you making a fool? And then she goes, I'm
she
not
goes
even
up. Yeah. Well, that was my friend's like favorite part. And so he had the 2 fingers and his hand was a waving. And So that was one song that immediately came to mind.
Right.
In part because I have such great memories of my friend doing that one.
That sounds a lot of fun. And that is a good song because that's like a real, like, just rip roar and anger song. Like, how dare you, motherfucker?
Yeah. It's like, it's interesting how some songs that are about kind of heavy and kind of sad, potentially sad things can be so upbeat and turned into something kind of like,
Yeah.
a dance party. So yeah, so that was one song on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will match that with a song that is similar in terms of it's about a sad topic, cheating, but it's got a real good beat. And I don't know, you might not know this song. It's a country song called I Hope by Gabby Barrett,
No.
who apparently finished third on season 16 of American Idol, but I stopped watching that show ages ago, so I had no idea.
Season 10.
Yeah, something like that. I'm surprised actually at how many people who are currently big artists have come from American Idol. They didn't win, but they came from that show.
Do you remember when you lived on that in that condo on Peter, and I'd come over and we'd watch American Idol?
Oh my God.
Do you remember us doing that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I would come over and we'd have dinner, and I would make cookies and eat them all. And
I do remember once you making
yeah.
massive
And then
cookies. Yeah.
we also used to watch Prison Break. Remember Prison Break?
Wentworth
And
Miller.
Wentworth Miller. And what did I say?
Yes, I know.
called him. I'm
And
like,
you were right.
that guy is gay.
God damn it, we lose another one.
Yeah. And you were like, there's no way he's gay. Sure enough, he came out
Yeah.
eventually.
He did. He did.
Anyways.
That was a good show. Okay.
So this person is an alum of...
She's an alum of American Idol, and she's a country singer. She has some great songs. So it's called I Hope, but it's kind of the idea of karma. So I'm going to sing some of the lyrics.
Okay.
I hope she comes along and wrecks every one of your plans. I hope you spend your last dime to put a rock on her hand. I hope she's wilder than your wildest dream. She's everything you're ever gonna need. And then I hope she cheats like you did on me. And I just love how she just goes into this whole story about how I hope that you go for a drive and you think that she's the one that's going to be the one for your life. And, everything that I was hoping when I first met you, and then I hope she cheats. And I just love how it's just a slap in the face.
That is a kind of that's common. That's a common narrative in country song.
It's a good song. You should listen to it. It's a real
Who's that again?
Gabby Barrett.
Gabby Barrett.
Yeah.
Never even heard of her.
I know.
Yeah.
You don't listen to country music anymore, do you?
Not much. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad. Like there's some really good country musicians now who are pretty much mainstream. I mean, Jelly Roll is now mainstream. Morgan Wallen is mainstream.
Right.
Chris Stapleton, all these people. But
Carrie
there's some
Underwood.
great. Well, yeah, definitely Carrie Underwood, but she went mainstream years ago.
And she's got that. What was that one? Before He Cheats. That
Yep.
was hers.
Yep, that's another good one.
Yeah.
That's a good revenge song, like Whitney's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard that she's actually going to be a judge on American Idol, actually, full circle.
Ah,
Since we were just talking
interesting.
about that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a huge get for them. Okay, what's next on your list?
Another one that I actually hadn't clued into as being a cheat song.
Okay.
George Michael's Careless Whisper.
Yeah.
That was his first single, even though he was in Wham, that he released that song independently. That was released under George Michael.
Really?
That wasn't
Are you
released
sure
as Wham.
about that? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was about him cheating on starting a relationship with another girl while he was still kind of wrapping up.
And we all know that he wasn't with any girlfriends.
Well, he was with
He was.
girlfriends, but then he eventually came out. But this, I think what's interesting about this song from the perspective of the guy who cheats is the kind of regret
Right. Having
in the
done
lyrics. Yeah, I'm never going to dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm.
that. Yeah.
So I thought...
Though it's easy to pretend.
I know you're not a fool. Should have known better than to cheat a friend.
And waste the chance that I've been given.
Yes, you sing it, baby.
You got to get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was it's a bit of a different kind of song in the cheating genre, because usually the cheating songs are, it's a woman, she's scorned and she's either angry or she's, how did you do this to me? And, blah, blah, blah.
That's interesting. It's an interesting observation about cheating songs, and you're probably right. But funny, again, I'm going to come back at you with a similar one where it's a man singing. Sam Smith. I know you're not the only one.
Oh yeah,
remember that song? So that one's not really about regret of like because he's a cheated on person,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he sings like a, you say I'm crazy because you don't think I know what you've done. But when you call me baby, I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't like Sam Smith.
You don't like his voice?
I don't. Him and Wainwright.
Wainwright.
What's it? Wainwright. The last name's Wainwright.
Oh, Rufus Wainwright.
Rufus.
Okay.
There's something about their tone or
Right.
something. I just don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Although there are some Sam Smith songs I like. Anyways, that being said, yes, it's yeah.
It's a good song, and I remember. I remember this song coming out. I remember him winning so many Grammys. I think he won 4 Grammys that year. And I specifically remember one of his acceptance speeches where he thanked his ex-boyfriend for breaking up with him because that led to his whole album that got Album of the Year and Song of the Year and all these awards. So I kind of loved that. Yeah, it's a kick-ass move. I love it though. And that boyfriend must have been kicking himself. He's like, no, I could have been with a megastar now. Maybe he wasn't, but whatever. But I also remember hearing this song performed on The Voice in one of the first seasons of The Voice. And the way that guy sang it brought me to tears. And I was with my partner at the time, and we were both actually brought to tears. Like it was such an emotional performance because just that idea of the gaslighting, you say I'm crazy because that is what drives me crazy too about when you confront somebody when you know that they've done something wrong and they make you feel like you're being insane and they just go get all angry and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about and stuff, but they do know what they're talking about because they did it. So I just think
your
that
ex was brought to tears? What were his tears about?
I wonder. Sometimes I wonder now. But it was
recognizing some.
Maybe he recognized it in himself because I remember like maybe it was a year later or something that we actually had an issue in our own relationship where he kind of admitted to me that this girl that he was working with had a crush on him. Nothing happened, of course. But now I wonder if something did happen. But I brought up those lyrics and I said, that's how I feel right now. And he was like, I know. It didn't stop him from doing it again, though. Yeah. Okay, what's next on your list?
Okay, the other ones that I had, Robin. Friggin' love Robin. Call your girlfriend. It's time you had the talk.
Oh, yeah.
Give your reasons. Say it's not her fault.
Okay.
And Dancing on My Own.
Right. Is that about cheating?
So there's a theory that Call Your Girlfriend and Dancing on My Own are about the same night same situation from 2 different perspectives. So Call Your Girlfriend is through the perspective of the woman who is now with the guy who's cheating on his girlfriend.
Okay.
And then Dancing on My Own is from the viewpoint of the girlfriend that got dumped.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I don't think Robin has confirmed or denied any of it. I didn't look, to be honest.
Right.
But, I just sang some of Call Your Girlfriend.
Yeah.
And Dancing on My Own starts with, somebody said you got a new friend. Does she love you better than I can?
Okay.
Big black sky over my town. I know where you at. I bet she's around. It would be so cool if it was.
Right.
If it was
linked.
a story through the lens of the 2 women who are, both vying for or have relationships with this guy.
That reminds me of the whole Betty August Cardigan trilogy.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know until I started actually singing the songs over and over again, like singing them and paying attention to the lyrics. I was like, wait a second. Oh, they talk about being on the front porch in that other song. And then, wait a second, in August, they say, remember when I drove up and pulled up in my car? It's like, oh my God, all these songs are linked. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. And did you know that the characters in those songs that they are Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' kids' names,
who are, I think, being canceled right now, aren't they?
Well, I think Blake is but I don't think you can't cancel Ryan Reynolds. You just can't.
Oh no,
no, he's too big of a star.
It's a fact. Mhm.
He's too much of a moneymaker to cancel him.
I don't know. Martha Stewart doesn't think he's funny, apparently.
But I think that was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. that
Martha
was with.
Stewart's not funny either.
She's not funny. Okay, so my final song
Okay.
is called I Wish You Would Have Cheated by Alexander Stewart. Have you heard the song? It's on the radio right now.
No.
And he's actually a 25-year-old Toronto kid. I didn't know he was from Toronto.
Who?
Alexander Stewart is his
this
name.
the guy that you sent me that video of?
No, that was another song called Pretty Baby. He's also from Toronto. I didn't know that. So much great talent comes out of Toronto, yes. But this one I thought was just an interesting take on cheating. I wish you would have cheated and smashed my heart to pieces. I wish I had a reason I could hate your guts for leaving. I wish you were the villain, a psycho with no feelings. So how do I move on when you did nothing wrong? You know, when you're broken up and you're so broken, but you wish you could just be mad.
Mhm.
So his whole song is just like, I wish you would have just cheated so I could have hated your fucking guts.
Yeah.
But I'm left with just all this heartbreak.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was such a kind of beautiful look at breakups.
Breakups, yeah. So there isn't cheating in there.
There
That's
isn't.
just the wish of it.
Yeah.
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 Huh.
You got to listen to that song. He does some vocal gymnastics that are incredibly impressive on the whole da 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 da. Like he goes so high.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful song and just a really different kind of look at cheating or the idea of cheating.
Yeah.
You know?
That does happen,
Yeah.
right?
Just wishing that, because a lot of times, and I know a friend of a friend who I know she's an acquaintance of mine, but I don't know her very well. She was going through a very difficult breakup.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like really sad for a whole year after the breakup, like really having a hard time letting go because it had been such an abrupt kind of situation. But, you know, and I always thought like, she's got to get to the anger.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you can get to the anger that you can start to move on.
Got to go
'Cause if
through all the phases
Yeah.
of grief.
Yeah. And if you stay in the sadness,
Mm-hmm.
that's a really tough pit to claw out of, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I thought about the song. It's just such an interesting look at just how can I move on when you did nothing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a lyric.
Why did you want to have this as a topic?
Well, okay, I have been cheated on,
Mm-hmm.
but not only from my own perspective. Like as I said, like with my friend, that was one good friend that cheated, and I had a really hard time with it, and also the harder time with the fact that she was unapologetic about it, and she almost kind of reveled in it, and I thought that was a really gross side of humanity. It's like, okay, if you're unhappy in your marriage and you have to have this as an outlet to just cope with the day-to-day life because you don't want to leave because of the kids or whatever. Okay.
That's her.
Oops. That's our shut the fuck up, kids.
Yeah.
Where was I? So
yeah. So do you know though whether he knew? How do you know that she was cheating and it wasn't just part of the arrangement?
because she was very clear about that
Oh,
to me. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So she confessed that she was
Yeah.
cheating on him. How did you respond?
I said to her one time, I was like, I honestly don't know how you want me to react to this, but I'm having a hard time with it. Like, she's like, well, you know, my other friends, they're all supportive. And I was like, well, that's because they're all doing the same thing. Guys are going on these group cheating trips. And plus, like my own experiences being cheated on are also, you know, it always makes me think like, but why? But why did you have to do that when you could have just said it's not working? And I had said several times, this doesn't seem to be working anymore. We're like basically roommates. Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
And he would always come back with, no, we don't really have any problems. Like, we just got to work at it. I was like, okay, I guess, because we've been together for 5 years. I guess we should work on it. Okay, we've been together for 6 years. I guess we should work on it. And in the end, I was like, why didn't you just let me go?
Yeah.
So yeah, I am a bit black and white on the topic of cheating because I just don't understand. Like I get it, like what you were saying about life is complicated, it can be messy, but I think when you're an adult, like there's just not an excuse to intentionally cause so much pain to somebody that you, even if you are not in love with them anymore, you care for them. So I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a part of me that thinks it's not the cheating that is the problem. The cheating is a
Symptom?
consequence
Mm-hmm.
of the problem, right?
Right.
So, I think, depending on the relationships, like I would say that it's sadder to not trust your instincts than it is to be
Yeah, but
cheated on.
but the thing is, like, they make you feel like you're being crazy.
Yeah, that's the gaslighting part that
Yeah,
you were talking about.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so you don't even know how to trust your
yeah,
instincts
yeah.
because you've trusted your instincts enough to say, hey, I feel like something's going on here.
Hmm.
And then they come back at you so hard with like, I don't know what you're talking about. How could you accuse me of that?
Yeah,
And blah, 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 blah. And they kind of just go on and on. They hammer you down. So you're like, okay, I guess I was wrong.
yeah,
But in your soul, like it feels something
yeah,
is off, but you've been told that you're imagining it. So
yeah.
you start thinking you're crazy. Cuckoo.
Yeah, I certainly know people have been cheated on, and I know somebody who was married, and they were cheated on, and they knew that
Like, did they know it for sure? Like,
they just knew it. Like
okay.
there was like, I don't know if they had proof, but they did know. They just knew that something was not right.
Like consciously? Or did
Yeah,
they sort of, okay.
consciously, and so and their husband gaslit them,
Mm.
but eventually, she found the strength to say, "No, I'm not doing this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I need to trust me." And it was hard, and
Mm-hmm.
they struggled, but they came out of it the other end, and it was, a beautiful thing. And I think, that's part of the part where, like life is complicated and it's not great, and
Yeah.
there's, like shitty things happen, but it's like if you get through it, if
Right.
you get through the other end, what do you learn from that experience, and what are your takeaways from that? And
So did they stay together?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. She told him she was
Mm-hmm.
leaving, and he was like, "Don't leave. You're wrong." All the gaslighting, all that
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. And then, 2 weeks after she moved out, his girlfriend moved in.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, guess I was right after
Mm-hmm.
all.
Yeah.
But, I think, at the beginning of this episode, you'd said, it happens probably more often than
I think
not.
so.
Yeah. But I think the circumstances around the cheating is an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that from a interesting thing to explore so that we can forgive, but
Right.
just an interesting thing to explore around, like, why do humans do these sorts of
Mm-hmm.
things? And what does that mean on all the various levels,
I know. I
right?
would love to ask some people, like a group of people who have cheated, like, why'd you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you just leave?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could you do it? Like, I imagine that the first time was difficult, right? And the guilt was probably terrible and all
Mm-hmm.
of that. But you have to face your partner still the next day. And how do you go from that feeling of guilt and feeling like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, to then just doing it again and again and again and again?
Yeah, I think it's like anything with humanity, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're flawed. Like, why do we do some of the things that we do that
Yeah.
we know are wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yet we
Why do
do
we
them
drink too
again.
much, smoke too much, whatever?
Yeah, or sometimes we don't treat people that we
Mm-hmm.
care about in our life the way they should be treated, and yet we do it over and again, over
I
again.
know. We
That-
just become immune to it. It becomes like, yeah, we become immune to it.
I don't know if it's
It's
that. I
easier
think
and
it's just.
easier.
I think it's. And again, it's not meant to be an excuse, but I just think humans are complex, and the drive to be a better version of yourself
Mm-hmm.
is part of the journey of life. So there's this balance of making mistakes, and dealing with the consequences,
Mm-hmm.
and also learning from those mistakes, and how do you get on with life, and try not to make that mistake again, or what do you learn from that, and how do you
Hmm.
move past it?
And if you can do that, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. and
But
and again, I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to do, but I don't think it's just an easy answer to the question of why did you cheat.
no, I don't think it's ever an easy answer to why do we do the things that we know are not the
Hmm.
right things to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I know when I was going to therapy regularly, and I've been in therapy off and on for probably about 10 years, but for
Hmm.
a long time, I was going consistently, like every week. And there would be times when I would ask her, so, if I know that this is my issue, that I know that for example, I know that I'm not as patient as I would like to be. Why?
You?
Mike, I'm not a very patient person. Did you not know that? I
There are
know.
moments where you could be probably a little
I
more
hide it
patient,
very
but
well.
hey,
stop cutting me off. But I would say to her, like, why haven't you fixed me yet?
Right.
Like, if I have been talking about this for years, why haven't I been able to change it?
Mm-hmm.
She did not have a good answer.
What was her answer? Do you remember?
She was like, well, the fact that you are aware of it is the biggest thing, that you're noticing it. I'm like, but now I'm just noticing how much I hate the fact that I'm impatient.
Yeah.
But I can't really be more patient. Like, when do I get to the point where I can be more patient? I don't know, man. It's hard. And I still, that is my biggest struggle still, is just the patience thing. But
I say lean into it.
I guess so,
That's
right?
my answer.
What else
Lean
can we
into
do?
it. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been an interesting episode. We got into some deep stuff near the end there. Well, I think we should probably wrap it up.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, little listeners. And please drop us a line, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a subscribe.
Yeah.
You can do that by
How?
sliding into our
Right
DMs.
into those DMs.
Yeah. Please. I'm begging you.
Please slide in.
Send us a message and just tell us what you're thinking. I know that people are listening all over the world.
I know.
And so, hey.
Are there any songs that you just think, hey, I want to hear what you think about this song? Like,
Do you have any opinions on any of the shit that's been coming out of our mouth? The stuff
Can
that
you
we're talking
relate?
about. You can also contact us by sending us an email at lifeisinthelyrics@gmail.com.
and come back next week for our last Love Month topic, where we discuss the heartbreak of falling out of love.
Yeah, another heavy one.
Or maybe not.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next Wednesday.